Is there a little pond over here? Hi. Aren't you a cutie? Meow.
Sand casting patterns. You put them in the sand, you pour
Right.
them out, and then you pour metal in. But the metal shrinks when it cools, so this has to be an exact percentage bigger than what you want to end up with.
Right.
Which I think is a cool idea that somebody could figure this out. But it's said to be the height of the woodmaker's art.
Yeah.
To be able to pull that off, figure out exact percentages and everything. Please notice that all the clocks go backwards because we're stepping back in time.
Correct. Amazing.
What is this one wheel 10-speed?
That's a darn good question. I have seen a 40-year-old woman ride it over and back.
There's no battery or nothing in it.
No, nothing.
Oh, you just kind of kick it like a skateboard and...
I think so. I think that's what it is. Somebody found it on the side of the road and brought it in. And I think it's because somebody was riding and said, oh, that's enough of
That's
this.
too much of that.
I would own it just for the piece that it is myself. I have friends that would try to write that.
Yeah. So this would be silent movies, continuing the wheel theme.
Right.
Silent movies, 35, 16, 8, Super 8. This is all magnetic tape. This is for like a 30-second commercial.
Wow.
Back when they were doing that.
Yeah.
And this is an original.
Oh, a wax.
You know these, right?
Yeah,
the wax
for
cylinders of Edison.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
And
cool.
they could not do reproductions. I mean, they were called reproductions,
Right.
but they could not do them infinitely reproducible because
so
there would be a
delicate.
mold mark on here going
Right.
right? So they flattened them out. In 1932, they're sending these things
Yeah.
in
What
the
is
mail.
that made out of?
I said I didn't know, and I said that to one person who was here, and she said, "Oh, wait a second, my husband's in plastics, some recycling," and she texted him and said 1932, and he said it's shellac.
Oh,
Wow.
So
All
I
right.
thought that was very interesting.
that's fascinating.
This is came into the radio station when I was working, the 33.
Mm-hmm.
But we would take these and put them on the cartridge machines,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'd have a whole bank of those,
Mm-hmm.
and we would look at our log and see what had to be played and pull it out and put it in and say, big time of the big town, the big show, the big boss sound, we'll be right back. Punch that button, and it was a really well-produced commercial.
All right.
So we sounded really uptown, at least we thought we did.
I mean, sure.
First man on the moon. So
That's
come on into the
awesome.
shrine room.
That's amazing.
Is that one of the players?
That is exactly one of those. And look at this. But the thing is that this embouchure moves the whole way across, as opposed to pivoting like this.
Right.
The whole thing. And so it's clunky and hard to work. And it was a good idea, but it wasn't as good as,
Yeah.
It's
Ringo and Paul.
And all the Beatles stuff. That microphone.
Look at this microphone. You missed it.
Isn't that splendid?
Oh,
That
those
is
are
a-
amazing.
And this is from
Right.
the 20s,
Yeah.
That's
Right.
from the 40s. This is the 77DX called the pill mic. Even when they went to lavalier mics, they were still putting a pill on their desk.
Yes.
So these are,
Is some of that
So-
uranium or no?
well, this is uranium here.
That one?
Yeah.
Those light green ones?
Yeah. That's gold chloride, that's cobalt. These are Doug bottles. These are medicine bottles, but those are poison bottles.
Oh.
So they have raised bumps on them and raised letters and everything, so you don't pick one up by mistake.
Confuse them, yeah.
So many fascinating items.
This is fulgurite. When lightning hits the ground, it makes these long glass tubes, but they break when
yeah.
you're trying to get them out usually. Camp Blanding, where somebody took a copper wire and shot it up from a prepared bed of sand into a thunderstorm and came up with one 30 feet across.
Oh,
Holy
wow.
moly.
Somebody from the university. I have yet to see it. It may be an urban legend. I don't know.
Right. George, what are these?
Those are Roman glass. When I say Roman glass, I mean not necessarily from Rome, because the Roman world was, I think that's Israel, that's Syria, and, just different places in the Roman Empire. These are Phoenician glass, and these are just for fun. from a maritime culture, you know. So do you know what tektites are? Meteorite hit the ground at 44 miles a second, and with such kinetic force that they liquefy the silica, but it splashes out. And at 44 miles a second, this meteorite has drug in from space a vacuum tube. So this stuff gets sucked right back out that tube, and it orbits until the orbit decays, and then several of them will fall in a perfect east-west pattern. They cross it with a 90-degree angle and figure out what the pole star was at the time they came down.
Wow.
How much accumulated knowledge does that take?
A lot.
Blows my
That's
mind.
too much math.
Yeah.
That's too much
somebody
math.
smart at NASA figured that one out.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Too
right.
much math. Very cool.
You want the shoe room?
Sure. Who
Shoes.
doesn't like shoes?
That makes
That's all
sense.
this snow stuff right over there.
Mm-hmm.
This is all contemporary, except for those are 400 BC. Those.
There's no place like home.
There's no place like home,
Most
especially
heavy.
for a drag queen in a size 13.
I was about to say, those are a little
I never
large.
wore them. I could never find enough blue gingham at Joann's. Here's the sabot, the French working shoe called a sabot. When they got pissed off, they threw them into the gears and became saboteurs. Sabotage. That's from the salt mines in China. I am. Why is that like that?
Clown shoes.
Look at that.
I found clown shoes.
It looks like it got burnt. Amazing. These are fabulous. They look like they hurt. I do like the X-ray of what it looks like painfully for a woman.
Well, you know, there were two girls, 10-year-olds, standing right there a couple weeks ago, and one of them said to the other, "Why would anybody do that to themselves?" And I thought, oh, well, new order of the ages, you know?
Right?
These are images of women for the last 30,000 years, Western world edition. Say again?
How long has your museum been open?
This last November was 1 year, so it's a year and a half now. And that's
But you've been collecting all these pieces your whole
for
life.
50 years.
Yeah.
Ever since Vietnam, I was trying to make sense of the world.
This lady looks a little grumpy.
Well, you know, that's my thing. I don't understand. I went to Michael's and I got jewels for her. I got her a great frame, and she never cheers up. She always
Never
looks right
cheers up.
every morning. This is a memorial portrait
Yeah.
that was done because people couldn't get there in time
Yeah.
before the kid was interred back in the 19th century.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we continue?
Yeah, absolutely.
So in here,
Ooh.
this is the
Lots
reading
of
room.
noise makers in here.
The play, don't hit,
Right.
so you get a good sound out of it. A little harder than that. There you go, right in the middle, I would say. That's about the best that sounds.
Curtis is always touching stuff.
And this guy.
Hit it there.
Oh, I love it. They make different.
Every place is different. Every place you hit it is different, you know.
Ridiculous.
You'll see, it'll catch.
That's awesome. Maybe you better try it.
He's afraid to break things.
That's ridiculous.
That is.
That's amazing.
Wow.
So one of my friends was in, he said, "Get that one going." I got it going. He whipped out his phone and hit an app and said, 104 decibels.
That's why there's a sign that says "Don't put your head in the bowl."
Yeah, it would not be wise.
That's
So
amazing.
Jen and I were in St. Augustine, and there was a guy. There was a little kind of a pop-up festival in a
Yeah.
parking lot, And we saw a guy making these, and I said, can you do them in just the black keys? And he said, what do you mean? I said, just the sharps and flats, just the five pentatonic scale, it's called. So he said, come back in 4 months. And so we went over there. So I can do this.
Nice.
And then I can go over and hit that thing, you know. Because all the black keys go together. So people think you know what you're doing and you have no idea.
I was fooled.
So anyway,
Fabulous.
glissando.
Those are the magical cartoon sounds.
Yes, they are. So this is the writing room here. And so everything from the Western world is over here, starting with cuneiform tablets, hieroglyphic. The cursive for hieroglyphic is hieratic. Then it goes to Demotic, Coptic. This is Arabic. This is the Quran. This is the Torah.
What a fabulous table. What is the table made out of? The desk.
Isn't that great?
Is that cherry?
It was, you know, what's great about the desk is that the guy who did highlights of history from 1939 to 1947, I
J.
think.
Carroll Mansfield.
J. Carroll Mansfield. This was his desk. Also, I got some of his paintings too. This is, you know, just an oil sketch of, you know, Vikings. And this is, you know, this says on the back, The Walls of Jerusalem by J. Carroll Mansfield, Artist Guild of New York. The Assyrians came down like a wolf on the fold, and his cohorts were gleaming with purple and gold. Byron.
Awesome.
This is one of my greatest treasures. I got it for my birthday. Who gave it to you? I did. Because I know what I like. On my birthday, which we did always in San Francisco, but I said, ooh, what's that? He said, library sign, 1790 to 1810. I said, what does it say?
That's
He said,
amazing.
I don't know. So I got home, my friends translated it, quiet and peaceful, not rushed. Here in the middle, discover yourself here in the moment. People are easy, happy, and honest with the soft smell of beauty on the breeze in this lazy place. Educated, cultivated, and lovely.
That's beautiful.
That's awesome.
Isn't it cool?
That is so
And I had no idea. I just liked the way it looked.
Mm-hmm.
You know? These are calligraphy brushes. Feel the difference between the horsehair and the mountain goat hair.
Oh.
And then the boar hair.
And they would paint with those brushes.
Yeah, you dip them in ink
Huh?
and do calligraphy.
Yeah.
That's a big giant calligraphy.
This would take a small brush.
Oh yeah. Like one that's up in there.
Well, that's so
Something's
soft.
bigger there, yeah. And so, you know, it's all stories and stories. Here's a story that's interesting to me. These are palm leaf manuscripts.
Palm leaf? No way.
Yep. And so, but when I say palm leaf, it's the husk that holds the new shoot before it deploys, or whatever the botanists call it, before it opens, unfurls. So they take that and they get their knife
Oh, and they just...
and they shape them and flatten them, and then they use this to write on them, and then they take a paste of lampblack or soot and citronella or some other bug repellent, and they wipe it on, and then where it's been scratched, it won't wipe off.
Right.
So it's kind of labor intensive, but it's called, the script is Sinhala, from the Sinhalese, and because it's this material, there are no lines that would split it. It's all circles.
Oh, yep.
You
Never
know.
seen anything like that before. That's amazing.
Hold your hands up. This is a traveling Ayurvedic physician's reference manual from Eastern India, and it's called Tamil, the writing there. And Tamil is said to be as old as Sanskrit, except some say it's older than Sanskrit.
That is awesome.
Amazing.
Before we go into the Long Branch Salon,
always drink upstream from the herd.
But I want to point these out because the guy on the desk, these are his too. The past is helpless in the hands of the present, which repeatedly remolds it to the hour's whim. Well, in 1940, he believed in the brave caballero protecting the indigene. He believed in the happy slave. And here he's saying, don't shoot him, he's a holy man. But they're beautiful paintings, I love them.
They
you
are.
know. We had to come through the Hall of History. They're trying to erase this.
Yes.
And I say no. So,
Oh.
long rips so long.
Oh, nice. You got little saloon doors.
So, Louis L'Amour's convinced me that the people that went west were actually quite literate and carried Milton and Shakespeare, or Plutarch and Ovid, or all of them in their saddlebags, in their wagons. And so, this is what they would have been reading. Although the tools are different. Where you are now, that's cowboy tools, including meat and dairy and vegan up there.
Well, you had to have a different camp kit for the terrain you're terraining.
Yes.
So, but if you were pan and gold,
Right.
that's your kit.
That's your kit.
And if you're pushing cattle, this is your kit.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Here is a newspaper, a picture of General Gaines, and a newspaper that is a letter, a story by a guy named D.B. Mitchell, who was the governor of Georgia, sent on a peacekeeping mission to Florida and found out that General Gaines had already started the Seminole War just by being a dick, and I'm paraphrasing now.
Yeah.
You can read the original letter if you want. So, and then this is the tea room. This is pewter, stamp 1650. That's the time Samuel Pepys was writing in his diary. Just tasted this new drink called tea. It's quite good. This is 1760. It's just a bachelor's set. In Stratfordshire, it was everywhere, and so they set up manufactories, but the independents would come into town too, and they'd go out to the road in the middle of the night and take a big hunk back in and work it, and we still call them potholes.
Yep.
And that's the secret garden out there, gradually transforming that into a Japanese garden. I'd like you to come over here and look up in that corner, and that's a Victorian morality play.
This one?
Yes. Her jug is still intact, so that means her virtue is as well.
Aha.
Shall we proceed?
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
So here is the shell room.
That's amazing.
Thank you for noticing that. That was
That is absolutely
tricky to get them to
Makes it all worth it.
put a corner in there where I could put a screen behind the porthole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the porthole means nothing when it's just on the ground, you know.
Right.
Yep, in the corner.
So this is
Fancy.
what I collected when I first got home from the war. And it brought me much solace and consolation to recognize that the universe was quite an intelligent place with a diversity of form from a unity of principle, and it was just humans that were stupid. So I allied myself more with the universe starting then.
That kind of fascination doesn't really exist anymore for today's society. I don't know what's going to happen.
Me either. We're trying here to be an antidote to the digital.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
From the depths of time rather than the depths of the sea.
Mm-hmm.
But you're looking right there at the ammonites, which the Native Americans called magic stones. They said if you look at one of those long enough, you can discern the origin of all life.
I'm coming.
The scholars, who were the intellectuals and also the officials of the period, would drag interesting stones into their garden, and then it wasn't long before somebody thought to make a rosewood base for it so they could bring it into their studio and be reminded that there was an outdoors, and that paperwork wasn't that important.
Right.
There's a cosmos outside, you know. And then by the Song Dynasty, which is 11, 12, they had groups of people who would get together and look at each other's scholar stones and write poems about them.